All right, so we are here. Lisa, do you want to start roll call?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you.
Chris?
Present.
Lisa, I'm present. Lisa Sobey. Dave?
Muted. Is he muted?
Dave, you're muted. Oh, he's working on it. I read his lips.
All right. I know we've got Dave Giroux. We have Julia,
Here.
Lori,
Yep, I'm here.
Nancy,
Nancy, you're muted too.
Here.
thank you. Evelyn,
Here.
Craig,
Here.
Jeff Flynn,
Here.
and then I think we also have Lisa Hober. Do we still have Lisa Hober?
Yep, she's waving, yes, but
Okay. All right. And I
Okay.
think that's it.
awesome. Thank you, Lisa.
Yep.
All right, so Lynn Chrissy is not here tonight, and that's kind of a good thing, and I don't mean that in a bad way. We are 100% collected, so there was really no reason for her to be here. I know, yay. Thank you, Lynn. I just, I want to mention in her little report spot, tax collectors are a 2-year term, and Lynn asked if I would like her to stay on. And I said, yeah, I would love for you to stay on. So I don't think anybody else has any objections with that, but I'm asking. I think she's doing a great job. We're 100% collected.
I would agree.
I agree.
Okay. All right. So that's it for tax collector, unless anybody has any questions that I might be able to answer. Great. Lisa Hober, treasurer.
Well, I have a question. Does the treasurer's position have a limit?
I don't know that,
Well,
but I know the tax collector is a little different, Lisa, and that she's an official tax collector, and I think we as a board pay you differently. We can hire outside. I think it's a little different.
I think
I
we
really
signed you
didn't
on
need-
for lifetime.
Yeah.
Lisa. That's what
I
I
just
I
thought.
really
looked
didn't need- I
up.
just didn't know if there was an
It's 40
option in my
years,
near
Lisa.
future.
There's
There's a
no option
40-year
for you to
term.
leave, Lisa.
Just
There's
want
no
an
option.
option.
It's like the Hotel California.
Yeah, you can never leave. You're in.
That's right.
Okay, well, that being said, I think if anybody got my email about the reports, we've got a Quicken glitch where I took an update and it's all over. I've investigated it. I've gone to the Quicken website. There's many talk groups about it, but they haven't fixed it where my reports show something called everything else. So when I'm doing the budget, everything else makes perfect sense to me when I'm looking at the planning of the Quicken program. It makes sense, and it's made sense all through right up to February because you've never seen that line. And now you're going to see it, and it means absolutely nothing. And I took the budget to actuals and I hand jammed it and added it up myself, making sure that everything that I'm reporting is accurate and it balances to the cash flow. It's just got this line called everything else, and just ignore it till I can get the glitch fixed. And I'm still working on that. But those reports have been posted to the drive. And unless you have questions for me, I really don't have anything else.
Lisa, remind me, I don't have to upload those, right? I only upload quarterly.
No, I guess, so yeah, we do need to upload it because I've had some requests and I think I emailed you on it, but we didn't know where the website was, but we do need to upload the quarterlies. So I'll resend that email with those reports in it because I have it.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll try to get December's up there. And then when I finish March, I'm going to ask you to load March.
Okay.
Is that it? Anybody else have anything for Lisa? Okay, awesome. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Dave, do you have anything you want to talk about with the asset management?
Well, as you know, we adopted a model and owners for each one of the assets last month. So I anticipate that the asset owners are working on it on their own. I've worked a little bit on Glimmer Glen on the model. I know it's about 975 feet long, about 20 feet wide. So there's about 19,500 square feet of pavement there. If you did a should cost on replacing that, it would be about $136,000 to do the pavement, which is not really feasible. So what I'm working on next is a plan to see who else we can get to contribute on this. And then I'll run it by the board, hopefully by next month's meeting.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. So I'm just going to back up a little bit because I didn't do any of the officers' report or anything like that, but I want to back up a little and just kind of get this out there. I had a meeting with the water company and B&L, which is the construction company that is doing the work for the water company. So the plan is starting around April 1st, they're going to come out and start repairing lawns and, all the yard work. April 15th, when the asphalt plants open again, they are going to start repairing the roads. I asked them to do a little more safety measures when it came to traffic control. I asked them to please cone off the lane, even though they have equipment going back and forth. Please put a cone there so somebody doesn't make a mistake and drive down the road, even though it says road closed. It did happen, and he agreed to do that, and to have his flaggers be a little more attentive. So he said that should take a week to 2 weeks. We are having him start at the south end because it's horrid, and work his way down. And then, so here's the then. I'm going to send out an email blast, and I'll probably do it twice, requesting that if anybody is still considering a water hookup, they have the latest August 1st, because after August 1st, they're going to come through. And I don't know if y'all remember, but they did a Lake Hayward Road. They put down that, it's like a millings kind of pavement. They paved like last year, I think they did it. Well, he's going to do that as well, but he doesn't want to do that. And then somebody else calls, 3 weeks later and says, hey, I want to hook up. And now he's going to dig the whole road up again. He wants to leave it nice and smooth. So he's going to do that in August. So anybody else that wants to hook up after that is probably going to have to wait some time. So we're going to try to see if we can get that done.
So are you saying he's going to asphalt patch the strip and then he's going to pave the whole road?
He's not going to pave the whole road. I think what he's going to do, my understanding was he's going to do that asphalt milling kind of thing, probably across to the middle to make it all smooth. So you don't have that, that
Got it.
thing, what all the other roads have, where the pipe was actually put in. So it sounds like a good plan to me. And he's pretty workable. He said Corey from BNL said he'd contact me when he's about to start, because I told him, I said, do that. I'll send out a blast and let people know what's happening.
Isn't this town roads though?
It's town roads, but guess who they hear from?
Okay.
And guess who gets to hear from us?
And is
Right.
that mill? I don't know a lot about that milling stuff other than I'm going to guess a lot of that's going to end up in the lake.
No, if you saw what they did on Lake Hayward Road, it once,
Once it's solid?
yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't go anywhere.
All right.
It kind of adds a nice, I want to say grip for a better word,
Yeah, it's rougher. Yeah. They're not doing this at our cost. They're doing it at their cost, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, not our cost at all. So
And is this just on Lakeshore?
just on Lake Shore. Yep. Yep. The rest of the roads are being addressed Michelle Velez, who is the Public Works Director, is looking for a grant because about 90% of the roads in East Haddam are pretty close to the condition ours is in. Or the rest of them are in. All of them, Wildwood, Ridgewood, all of them. They're all in horrible shape. So she's doing, it was supposed to be like a 2-year plan, which started last year. So hopefully this fall she'll have some answers and look for that grant to repave a lot of our roads, which would be cool and very helpful. So that's it. I think somebody else joined. Did I miss that?
Lisa raised her hand.
Lisa Hober had her hand up.
Yeah, I know, but I got 2 people.
No, there is someone else. There's a total of 11.
Yeah.
We had 10 before.
Oh, it's Melanie, I think. It's-
Webmaster.
Yeah, it's
There.
Melanie. Okay. Hi, Mel. She must be muted. She is muted. I could see her. Okay. So, so I just want to kind of fill you guys in on that. If anybody asks any questions or wants to know anything, or that's kind of where that is. And then one other thing, Craig, I don't know if you missed the email. I sent out an email asking about returning board members. Did you see that?
I did. I just haven't figured out if I'm doing it yet or not. What's your deadline?
Well, ASAP, just so they can start doing their thing. It does take some work to canvas and to find the
Yep.
right fit and so forth. So last year we did June 1st, but honestly, if you think about it, it's really not fair. If you know you're
I
not
got you. I'll give it more thought. I'm kind of going like this. So
okay, appreciate as soon as you know. Okay. So that's really all I had to say. Is there any questions on any of that? Okay. So we're going to move into communications and technology. So we're kind of trying to combine them because they're almost the same in their functions. So communications is constant contact, which is really technology, and communications. So, but technology is the one I wanted to talk about because that's our Google Suites. So our renewal came up, and they offered an annual amount, and it was significantly cheaper than the monthly payments that we're making. Somewhere in the neighborhood of $600 or $700. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. I'm like, oh God, why are we paying monthly? So when I did that, they billed us for the entire year, which will work out with budgeting. The way the mill rate worked this year, someone wants to join. Hold on. I think that's Holly. Yes. Lisa Sobey, that's Holly Landers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm sorry. So there is funding that can be reallocated because we only funded that up until the fiscal year. It didn't make sense not to pay annually to save $600, $700. So I opted to pay annually. They took the whole annual payment. So I'll have to work that out with Tish, but we'll wind up reallocating something from somewhere to cover that for the fiscal year. But now here's the real clincher. So when they billed us, there was a $236, and I could be off $1 or $2 or something, charge for taxes. We all know we're tax-free, right? We're a government entity, nonprofit. So I reached out to Lisa Hober and I said, Lisa, do you want to go after that? And she said, okay, well, give me the information. So I went on the administrator console and I looked for the information. Well, in order to get nonprofit status, you have to originally be set up as nonprofit, and it's half or less than half the price than what we're paying. However, It's unfortunately that we didn't get set up that way because we're so populated now in this Google Suites. So in the fall, when things chill out, I'll try to see if we can set it up as a nonprofit and try to migrate our information over. I think it's going to save us several $1,000s a year. But we can't, it's not that easy. We just can't flop over. You have to set up like that. But I thought I'd pass that along. I was like, wow, just good information.
So
Yeah.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, Jeff, I can't see if you had your hand up. Did you have your hand up? Oh, okay. I saw this and then it disappeared. Lisa, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So first of all, thank you for figuring that out. Secondly, do we have to stay with Google Suites? Would this be an opportunity to do something different?
It could be, yeah. But when we set it up, we'll set it up as a nonprofit.
I think because people struggle, me included, with Google Suites.
Yeah, well, listen, we can't say it too loud. We're on it, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. We just did.
I don't know that many of us are fans of Google Suites.
Yeah.
So I think we would have to find something that's a better fit, and go from there. But for now, we're staying with it until the fall because we're about to pick up speed on everything. But it was an interesting find, and it's something that, will save us money going forward, and a little more knowledge as to that type of, when we get ourselves involved in things like this. And even the constant contact, I don't really know if that could be or was set up as a nonprofit. I don't know. So it's something to look into as well. All right, so that's all I had to say on communications.
Nancy had her hand first, then Evelyn.
Go ahead, Nancy.
So my question was, do other town and state governments use the language of profit? Because as a state agency or a municipality, there might be a different, you know what I mean? We might not have to set up as a nonprofit, depending upon whether it's Google Suites or another,
Agreed.
Teams or whatever.
Agreed. I mean, Nancy, it definitely needs more research. It's just what I literally, I took like maybe an hour and I was looking into it and I'm like, all right, so how do we get like non-tax, nonprofit? And then I found all of that and I was just like, all right, well, I'm going to put that aside for now because that's a huge chunk to bite off. But it's good to know. And so going forward, yes, we'll look to migrate or do something and get into that nonprofit field. Evelyn, did you have something to say?
Yeah, just a little bit of history on why we ended up with Google Suites. It was half the cost of Microsoft Office, and the board members at that time did not like Microsoft Office. So we migrated to Google Suites, which I'm not a fan, but that's what they vote. I researched it and that's what they voted on. So we change. It's fine. Also, they would not accept we had a hard time getting our tax exempt status through with them.
That's because you had to set up as a nonprofit. When you set up the emails, they had to be set up as nonprofit to begin with. So, which I found out, Evelyn, that's how I found out.
Reaching anybody in person there was a nightmare.
Yeah, like I said, everything I found out was through the assistant and the no verbal person. So, but it was a little eye opener. It was, just very good information to know. Did somebody else? I think somebody else joined, Lisa.
The webmaster.
No, I think there's
Somebody else joined, but your expert daughter has a comment about the expert technology.
Mel, you got a comment? Oh, there you are, honey. I didn't even see you. But no, there's, okay, I see. Jeff went in the window. Where'd she go?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Now
Yes.
I can see you.
Yeah. There's
enough people in the call, Mom, that not everybody pops up all the time.
Yeah, I
Um,
know. They go down to little flowers and letters.
Well, you can, fun fact, you can change the layout. If you hit the three dots next to the hang up button, you can hit change layout and you can have everybody show. Um,
Well, I got Chris taking up a third of my screen. Just saying, Chris, I don't know
You have to
why.
unpin him. There's a
So-
little pin if you
Is
hover
he
over him.
pinned?
There's a
Oh,
little
he is
pin.
pinned. You're
Unpin him.
pinned. I pinned you. I'm sorry. There.
But you
No.
can change the layout. You can show, I think, up to 50 people at once on your screen. If you hit the three dots next to the hang up and then hit change layout, you can
Oh.
select
I
tile
see.
and then you can
Tiled.
use the slider for how many people you want to show.
All right. And I cannot unpin Chris. And I did not pin you. I'm just saying. Okay.
That only shows for you, Mom, also.
that
but-
he's pinned,
Correct.
but I didn't pin him. So how come he got pinned?
I was wondering what exactly about Google Suites has been bothering you guys. Microsoft has gone up in price, so it's likely more than double the cost. So I'm just curious.
I think it's
Um,
basically that for business, I use everything Microsoft. And so I live and breathe that every day, all day. And now I got to switch to Google, and I deal with the same thing with my kids, and their school stuff is all on Google Docs and Google this and Google that. And it's a challenge.
And I think for me, Mel, like, you know, and most of us are accustomed with Word and Excel. And when you go into here, you know, I got to download the document, fix it in Word or Excel, and then upload it again, because Google Docs and Google Sheets are just a little bit different. And it makes the whole document look silly. So like when Sobi does the agenda, if you look at it on Google Suites, it looks all contorted. So I have to download it and print it, and then it looks really nice. So that's a big part of it for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think people definitely run into this issue when they're like writing something in Word and then moving it over. It's a lot easier if you like made the document in whatever platform you're going to be using.
And we
But-
don't like the Google platform. I don't think any of us like making
No.
documents in Google Sheets or Google Docs.
But I'm also not sure what like nonprofit incentives Microsoft might offer. So that might be helpful as well. If you guys need to change your email over, happy to help with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so maybe that's what we'll do, Mel. We'll look into, not to the fall, but because there's too much going on right now, but maybe going into Microsoft Suites as a nonprofit or government entity. I see Chris's fingers, would be, you know, something more affordable for us and something we can all work well with. I mean, it's some of the things in Google are a little advantageous, but yeah, it's cumbersome.
It's
Okay, but it's a
cumbersome.
fall conversation, right? We're not going to do
Yeah.
anything till the fall? Okay.
So, all right, so that's, I just wanted to mention that finding and where we're at with that and so forth. Anybody have anything else on that? Okay, I'm going to go into properties. Obviously Alex, I still can't unpin him. So,
Lori, if you just hover your mouse over him, there's three things that pop up. The thing on the left is the pin on.
oh, I was trying to hit the pin.
Nope.
All right, okay. You learn lots of new things every day. I love it. Okay, now I can see everybody. So I did receive a letter from Alex, and I'm going to read it to all of you. To Pula Board of Governors, thank you for your confidence to ask me to fill the position of Properties Manager in August of last summer. Since then, my life circumstances have changed. I have a full-time job that would inhibit my abilities to respond to pool of properties responsibilities effectively and beneficially. Therefore, I reluctantly submit my resignation as pool of properties manager. I am available and responsive to help task and work parties as my professional life allows. Thank you for the opportunity. Sincerely, Alex Henry.
So is this immediate?
Yes. So his life did change. He had some things happen, and so this is where he's at. And we just have to take what we have to take. So in the interim, there are a couple things that are being looked at or looked into right now for repair, and it's the sign at the end of Wildwood and the boat rack. It's a boat rack, not a kayak rack down at Second Beach. And then I also wanted to mention there are hay bales. If anybody wants them for their garden or what have you, not yet. Not until the beginning of May. I'm going to send out an email blast and say, if you want them, take them. Otherwise, John Allegra said he'd come and just pick them all up and put them in the compost. We are going to have a silt fence, sandbag, hay bale removal work party. It is scheduled for May 10th. Rain date, May 11th. It's May 10th is Saturday. And the blast will go out the last week of April. And we do have, now we have all the volunteers that usually assist with work parties. And then the swim line work party, which this will all go in the spring packet. The swim line work party is scheduled for Saturday, May 17th. Rain date, May 18th. And that blast will go out the first week of May. So if anybody has any questions on that, but right now, that's pretty much what's happening in properties. I can't think of anything else. We do not have beach rakers. However, the mindset is we have First Beach. I think they get around 750. Excuse me, my door just opened. It's about the stipend is about $750 a year. We could buy a lot of rakes with that. Put them on the side of the pavilion. If you want your spot raked, rake it. If nobody's going to volunteer to rake, that's what we'll do. If we don't have the personnel, if we don't have a volunteer, then it's just the same thing like when we didn't have an events person. If we don't have an events person, we do the best we can. We don't have events. So I'm going to put out more email blasts. I do have a couple of people in mind that I'm thinking about that may want a beach rake, but if we don't get beach rakers, we put rakes up and you rake your own spot. I mean, it's a luxury to have the beach rake. It's a luxury. Do we want a beach raker? Yes. Can we pay a beach raker? Yes. We have to have one or somebody that wants to be one. I don't know. Does anybody have any commentary on that?
I just had a question on the beach parties, the 10th and the 17th. Why don't we just try to combine that into one day?
Because it's a lot. Oh, the swim lines.
Well, but it's different crews doing different things.
Yeah, but I think that's overambitious. Actually,
All
we did talk about it. Myself, Alex, and Lisa has been helping out Alex as well. And it's overly ambitious to try to get all that done in one day and it depends on how many volunteers you get. So we thought it best to get the silt fence and all that stuff out of the way, and then the swim lines go in because it's going to be in the way. Any other questions about that?
Maybe we should bring Phil back for properties.
Any other questions? Comments? All right. I'm going to move on from properties. Unless there's anything else with properties. Anybody have anything? Great. Okay, so we're gonna move into Webmaster. Oh, now you're over here. Hi, Mel. Do you want to give us an update of where you're at?
Sure. So you guys have the first of several kind of like deadlines for moving things over coming up. The first one will be at the beginning of April when your SSL certificate expires. So what that means is if you ever go to a website and your computer says, stop, it's not safe here. That's because that website doesn't have an SSL cert on it.
Right.
Those cost money. Typically, they cost about $15 a year. For some reason, your old hoster was charging you like $200 every 2 years, so like $100 a year for it. So I'm moving you over to Bluehost, and we're gonna stop paying for that through them. That's something that I'll probably likely do just after the meeting tonight. That's not a big deal, and it doesn't involve us needing to switch the website itself over. It'll be kind of like separate. At the same time, I'm also working on the website. What I noticed about a lot of the forms, Mom, that you sent me is that most of them are forms that just need to be signed. And so I was wondering about the, like setting up a full fillable form system might not make sense just for signatures, just because e-signatures, like the softwares that support legally backed e-signatures tend to cost a fair bit of money. I think like the cheap ones are $100 a year, and it goes up in price.
You mean like DocuSign or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not sure if they're, it looked like maybe a lot of the forms are ones that are really just meant more for like acknowledging like acknowledgements. So like acknowledging rules, acknowledging just like code of conducts and that sort of thing.
Well, some of them, Mel, like importantly, like the voter registration and the new member, those require more fillable fields. And those are really important that those we really want to be interactive.
Right. And so for those, we can look at options that are like, maybe it fills out the whole form for you, and then you have to print it out and sign at the bottom and send that in or something like that. Or we can pay some money and have it be something that is fully encased within the website. But that does raise your yearly cost for the website. Again, right now, like the first year for Bluehost will be about $65, I think. And then after that, it'll be about $200 a year. So we would be looking at increasing the cost, by an extra $100 or $200 a year. So we'd be looking at maybe doubling the cost of the website.
So, but where does that leave us with the interactive forms? So like if we wanted to add DocuSign, we'd be adding another $100 onto that.
Correct. But to be clear, you can do fillable forms without the e-signatures. And you can even like, I'm not a lawyer, but to some extent, you can just kind of have like check boxes or somebody type their signature into like a Google form or something like that. And that is acceptable in some contexts and unacceptable in others. And truthfully, I can't tell you what the difference is.
So the only one that I would be concerned about with that is the voter reg. So I can look into that and let you know if that's something that they have to actually, e-sign.
Yeah, or if they can just like for very often for forms like this, it's okay if you just type your signature in. And there needs to be a little thing there that says like, by typing this, I acknowledge that I'm signing the form or something like that. But that's easy. We can just add that little disclaimer in. But most of these, like for example, the application to join the board and that sort of thing, I think the most usable way for you guys would probably just be for us to make it a Google form. And then it's something where it can be filled out online. People can come back to it if they want to. If they fill it out halfway, they can come back and finish it. And then you get an email when it's done, and it's also saved in a spreadsheet. And you can kind of like, the secretary or whoever is going to be responding to those can check them off as they respond to them, and that sort of thing as well.
That works. That works well.
Okay, so if you guys are able to get back to me on the legal piece, I would love to save you some money there. But the rest of it is not so hard in terms of the fillable forms.
Okay, Lisa has her hand up. Hober. Lisa, go ahead.
Melly, are you gonna do something where you're gonna spend some money?
Yes. Yeah, I already I just paid the $65 to get things set up, but we'll switch over the billing to you guys.
No, I want you to send me, I want you to email me a PDF. I just emailed you because I have a form for you to fill out, but I want you to email me the PDF of those invoices so I can cut you a check.
Okay, sounds good. And Lisa, what I'll probably do is well, I mentioned last time that I wanted to get you guys set up with a 1Pass, and maybe I'll do that just so I can share like logins and that sort of thing. But I'll send you the login, Lisa, for Bluehost, so that if you want to get that billing information switched over to you guys, we can do that too.
Okay.
I am planning to go in and kind of shut down iPower and transfer all of that over. So I don't expect you to need to interact with that at all, but I'll follow up with you and let you know if there's anything like
Yeah,
that.
I've already altered the payment, so it's not going to go to my card.
Cool.
So we have webmaster under technology. So Lise, when you have a few minutes, maybe we could sit down and look at, because now we have the 4,000 for the Google Suites, and then we're going to have more. We should look at the BVA and kind of see where we're at, and then we can present to the board where we need to reallocate. We do have we under budgeted our interest, our bank interest, by several thousand, 3,000 or 4,000. And we've over, how do I say this? Our mill rate was set before everybody had, there were people still wiggling around in East Haddam tax. So we actually collected 4,000 more than what we budgeted. So we do have some funds to move around a little bit. So I'll talk with Lisa and Melanie. We'll figure out cost and where we're at. Because like I said, next fiscal year, the Google Suites will be a little different because we've already paid for it up front. So maybe we can work that out and see where we're at. And then if we do want to add some kind of DocuSign or something, Mel, we'll figure that out too. But we need to see what we have for funding.
Okay. Yeah, that would be helpful. That sounds good.
That sound good, Lisa? Ober?
Yeah, I mean, I followed you because I know where the money is.
Okay, I know. Well, once we
all
do
of it
that, then I know, once we do that, then we'll present to the board, this is what we want to do, and this is what's left or whatever. Unless everybody else is following the BVAs and all of that, then that's fine too. But yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay. And the last thing is I wanted to show you guys the rough draft of the website that I have so far. It is certainly a rough draft, so just keep that in mind. But I have an ask for you guys as related to it, which is
Her plants are real, by the way. I just thought I'd add that.
Well, you think my boat's not real? I mean,
I don't see any water splashing there.
it's moving.
I see it moving. Yeah.
1 second. For some reason, all of my permissions reset and I need to restart so I can share my screen with you guys.
feel like we need a Jeopardy tune.
I do think while we're waiting for her to come back, having fillable forms is going to be a game changer for us.
I agree. I totally agree, Lisa.
Everything electronic, none of this paper back and forth, none of this. Did you get this? Did you not get this?
Ooh.
It
Okay.
came up and went away.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So here is your new website.
Oh, I like the chair. I like the logo.
I know. I know. Here is the new website. I need pictures from you guys of the lake. I have a couple that I updated earlier tonight, and it just takes a while for the new ones to show. But I need more pretty pictures of the lake. I know that you have a ton of them. So if people could email them to the webmaster email, I'll go through and just pick a couple that'll fit on the website, and you might see your photo. Would that be actually maybe a good thing for me to just go on Facebook? And I know you guys have a couple groups on Facebook. Could I ask on one of those?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So actually, maybe I'll do that instead. But we have this. We have an upcoming events that should populate from the embed that you got me a while ago, Mom.
The events calendar.
Well, yeah, we'll need to get on a call and go through that again, because you sent me one that was very small and it shows up very small on here. So we just need to change the settings.
All right.
but-
And that's been populated like entirely now for the whole summer. So there's a lot.
So Melanie, this, first of all, it's beautiful. Secondly, the upcoming events, is this an automatic based on the calendar, or is this require human intervention to do upcoming events?
It'll be automatic.
Love it.
What we'll need to talk about there is which calendar it should use and whether that's what you'll actually want. Like, for example, if there's a bunch of meetings that pop up on the calendar, those might pop up here, which might not look very nice. And it also might not be like, maybe you want this more for community events and like board meetings only. So
And are we able to determine time frame? So upcoming events, would that be in the next week, the next 2 weeks? Are we able to determine that next month, whatever the
Well,
time frame is?
yes.
She's got the dates on it, right? January.
Yeah, like I said, these are placeholders, but yes, they'll be populating from there, so we can set the time frame. That shouldn't be an issue.
Oh, that-
It will only show the 3 latest, like the 3 upcoming.
Okay.
That might
okay,
be a good solution, anyways.
Okay.
So Mel, what if there was more than one in one? So like say January 15th had 2 or 3 events. Would it show all 3?
Good
Or would
question.
it just show 3 different things on January 15th?
It would have all 3 of these would say January 15th, and then they would say their related event next to it.
Okay. All right. And then is there a means for, wait, went too fast. Okay, hold on.
Sorry.
Okay. Is there like from there, could they click and see the entire calendar?
Yeah. So what I'm planning to do is to either leave it like this and then have a link below it, or just here that says like,
See
You know,
more or
yeah, like see our full events list. Or we can embed it right here, but I need, like I said, the one you sent me it shows up like the size of this, and it's the whole Google Calendar, Mom. So it's not, we'll get on a call and I'll walk you through how to do it.
okay.
Just because I don't have access to the settings to get that myself. That's something like you need to have admin on the calendar to do.
Okay.
Nancy, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, is there a way to leave some events out? Because I don't know if, like on the calendar, you have the pavilions rented by someone. Like if Craig has a birthday party, I don't think he wants it right on the front for
Mm.
all to, I don't know, but.
But in the same token, other people might want to know, oh, there's something going on down there. I
You
don't
could
want,
You could just put private party,
yeah,
Yeah,
instead,
reserved
pavilion
for private
reserved.
party, right?
right.
We can. What I actually might suggest that you do is have those be 2 separate calendars. so that the events calendar shows up on here and the pavilion availability calendar is something that could be accessed if somebody specifically cares about that. But otherwise, like from my perspective, if I'm coming on here and looking for events, I want to know about like if you guys are doing day at the races or something like that. Like when is that? You know, and whether or not the pavilion is free might not be something that you want like on this list. Although I can see how it would be helpful if that's specifically what you're looking for.
Right. Or, well, so I like Craig's suggestion of putting private party and just having, you know, Lynn know who it is or whatever. And that way, like Mel, let's say I had 10 people, you know, that I was having over and we were going down to the beach. Well, maybe I wouldn't because Craig's having, not Craig, but whoever, somebody's having a party. You know what I mean? I don't know. Just a thought.
You guys
B-
live here, and this
BYOB,
is a customer
Lori.
for you. So,
Yes. Always.
but you might wind up with this being upcoming events, and it's just a list of the pavilion being scheduled.
All right. Or could we do like side by side, like do one upcoming event and then pavilion schedule on the other side?
Yeah. Yeah. So we can have that be like a separate calendar. So that's how it would work is like this automation would be looking at your events calendar, and then separate from that, you would have the pavilion calendar.
Okay. That could
And then-
work. I'm sorry. Somebody was trying.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was me. So I'm looking at the links that you have next to the times. If there was whatever it is, if there was something that's being offered that we need to have attendance for, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something where we're going to host an event. We can't have any more than 25 people. Is that something that we could?
Like,
Oh,
like
link-
ladies' night.
or
like-
like RSVP.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's the word, RSVP. So that, and then we can cap it at whatever the numbers are.
Yeah, that should be fine. That might be something that needs to be done automatically, but it also shouldn't be difficult to update. Like that might be manual, I should say.
Right.
Like
Like
somebody will have to go in and do that.
when you populate the event. For instance, Mel, we have ladies' night and I think there's 50 seats available. So once 50, so if you had the get tickets, maybe we'd max out and say, all right, well, 50 tickets are sold. Sorry, sold out. Like it would be able to tabulate that 50 have been sold.
And is
Yeah.
That
there,
type of stuff would probably be easier just to do it manually, because if somebody updates it, you know, I mean, it takes 2 seconds to update it and it's a one-time thing. We're not
Right.
going to have other events that have a RSVP, like a, you know, maximum number of people.
No, but we do have RSV, like the golf, we have RSVP.
Right. But what I'm saying is that type of stuff could be updated manually, I think.
but
Yeah,
I-
if
I
you guys have an event like that needs extra information put in, that's something that like you can go in and add to, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be a big deal. Okay. All right. Well, that sounds good.
And then the other thing I'm working on, I realize I skipped over this, but there's basically an option to have like an FAQ section, which I think would probably be helpful for you guys. It sounded like if we take a look at the old website, there are just like a ton of stuff here. And I'm not sure, like the lake quality, I think Mommy mentioned a lot of this is out of date. So I'm thinking a bunch of this will kind of tuck away. And if folks are really looking for it, then we'll still keep it on the website so they can find it if it's still relevant. But finances and lake quality, I think largely will probably not stay in like the header on top or anything like that. And instead, maybe we just kind of have it be like on the bottom. We'll have a bunch of links here, for example. So maybe we'll have like one of these can be like finance information or something like that. just so that it's a little less crowded on the top. This is what I have on the top right now is contact us, resident forums, events, and community resources.
All right.
And
So-
community resources is what that's just my renaming of like this owner's guide, which I think has like a lot of some things that'll wind up going in the forms, but also like has like, you know, a bunch of helpful resources in it.
Right.
Can I make it a suggestion instead of community? Can we just change it to association? When I hear community, I think outside of the association. I think
Gotcha.
Colchester or East Haddam, but
Yeah, let me write that down. But I can definitely do that.
So I think going through some of these, Mel. Oh, I'm trying to click on your screen for Pete's sake. Oh my goodness. But I think going through some of these, I think we can all agree on what's pertinent to be, well, what should be where, and what's pertinent to be able to be found. Like, for instance, right now, if you go into, I don't know, financial reports, you know, you can also look at the archived ones, which that should be available. The question is, should it be on the front page? Maybe not. Maybe, you know, a subcategory of something else or what have you. But I think we need to go through these and make sure they're what's under each one of those is where it should be. Because it's really, I mean, clearly you can even see it's kind of convoluted.
Yeah, it's a little I think putting all the forms in one place will be helpful. Just like if it's a form I need to fill out for something, then it'll all be in one place on the top. On the bottom here, you don't see any right now. And again, everywhere it says community, I'll go through and replace that with association. But this will be basically like where the newsletters get posted. So this was the most recent one that I saw on the website, was the August one. So the most recent newsletter will show here as well. And then if you like click in, it'll have a link on the left here to the other newsletters. But yeah, if you guys, I'll draft some of the more FAQ questions. Like, for example, I think a good one here would be, how do I rent the pavilion? And then we can have an answer for that and a link to the form. And people can click there and fill out the form and yeah.
Right. And something, you know, what do I need to know as a new resident?
Mhm.
I think that's a good one because a lot of people move here and they don't understand it's a taxing district, that they need to register to vote, that they need to fill out a, you know, a new resident form, those things. So
That might be something that would be helpful to write a whole page on. And then we have like, you know, like if this question here is like, oh, I just moved here, what should I know? You know, we'll have like a little blurb here and then we'll say, like click here to learn more, and it'll be a whole page that outlines all those things and links to all the forms and just is kind of like a one-stop shop for if somebody's new and they're trying to figure out what's up.
okay. All right, that's it. So maybe something like that with the financials too. What do I need to know about our financials? And then you click on that and then it takes you to all the different financials that we have.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Any other suggestions?
I'm loving this. I think this is fabulous.
I'm loving that I didn't have to figure out how to do any of this.
All right, Mel. So what do you need? I'm going to find out about the voter registration, if that needs to have like a wet signature or not a wet signature, but an actual signature, right?
Yeah.
And then what else do you need? You're gonna grab photos from the Facebook pages, right? For now, and then, you know, later if we want to change them or whatever, we can, but
Yeah. Well, I was thinking I would post on Facebook and say, does anybody have anything that they want on the website? Because as lovely it is as it is, I'm not sure if I posted to a private group on Facebook a nice picture of a rainbow that I took and I found it somewhere else, I might feel a little weird about it. So I'll just post and say, hey, does anybody have any photos that they like of the lake that they want to share for the
All right.
website?
So do me a favor. So we have 3 Facebook pages. The Lake Hayward Facebook page is for the whole lake. So we don't want to post on that one. The Lake Hayward CT Members Forum, we want to post on that one. And then the PULA, the Property Owners Association of Lake Hayward, we want to post on that one. But only, I don't know, there's only like 3 or 4 of us that can post on that one. So you would have to send me your post or something, Mel, and I could post it on there.
Okay. Do you want it on all 3? Where do you
No,
want me to
No,
post on
just
the
send it
second
to
one?
send it to Lori and let Lori post it because she knows she can post on some of them, but you can't.
right. You can't post on the PULA one.
So
But-
just write up the blurb you want and then Lori post it.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
It's kind of crazy, but if you do the Lake Hayward one, it goes to the people on the East Shore and all that. And
Sorry, I was
don't
Lori,
care.
I was just trying to move it along. I'm sorry.
Nope.
It's
You're just trying to give me more to do.
no, well, it's easy. It's like she's gonna write it, you just copy, paste, and post. It's perfect.
Right.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Just so long as I have access to the photos that people respond to. Because if you're sending them back and forth, Mom, that might be
Right.
annoying.
And I have
Can I make a suggestion?
of
You
course.
might also ask for FAQs from the group, what they would want to know on the website.
Yeah, that's a good one, Dave. So Mel, yeah, you write up whatever your inquisitions are and we'll post them.
Sounds good.
Just one word of caution, not that I'm gonna totally disagree with Dave, but the more you ask of people, the more you're going to have to do. So I think less is more when it comes to a website. My 2 cents.
But to Dave's point, so many people have been complaining about our website since I moved here. And maybe there is something specific that people want to see. So maybe we get a lot of people that flood information, but that doesn't mean we have to put it all on there.
No, but then we get yelled at for not putting it in there.
We can
So
get
if-
yelled at for not putting it in there anyway.
Like I said, just my 2 cents.
All right. Thank you.
I think I could say, maybe we just say we're taking suggestions and leave it at that. And if we don't take your suggestion, it was a suggestion. So
Right. I like it.
but yeah, so that is everything that I have for you guys.
Okay. So, oh, and then the financials. I got to look at the financials with Lisa, right?
Yes, I think so. You guys will be saving a bunch of money. So I think it'll probably just be a question of paperwork.
Paperwork. Okay. All right. So we're moving along. That's awesome. Julie, are you going to say something?
I just wanted to thank Mel for all your work on it. And thank you for bringing us into today. We're so far behind. So thank you.
Looks awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy to. Hopefully by next month, we should have a website that we're ready to switch over to.
Awesome. All right. So that means we got to talk some more. Okay.
Yeah, with the caveat, I mean, your forms aren't fillable now. So if we switch over to the new website and some of the forms are still not fillable because we haven't figured out parts of it, that's okay.
Right. We can get there. That's the bottom line. We can get there. So, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciated it.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
If you guys don't need me for anything else, I'm gonna go, but thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your board meeting.
Thank you.
you.
Tell
Bye,
Amos
Melanie.
hello. Tell Amos hello.
I will.
Okay. Well, that's moving along, so that's good.
That was impressive. And
Yeah.
that's good. So it's 8 o'clock. Craig would be happy. It's 8 o'clock and we're halfway through the agenda.
Woohoo! Yeah, and so Tim was going to show up and give a dam update. And there's a lot going on. So I'm going to wait to talk about it because he didn't show up. I did send him a link, but there's a lot coming and going with the dam. So I'm going to hold off on that. So we're going to skip over that if everybody's okay with that. And we're going to move on to geese. And Evelyn, I know you said you had a report.
Yeah. Fences are up. Holly and Gail did a fantastic job putting it up. Holly is going to take over as chair. I'm not sure how many people knew, as geese committee chair. We've had responses for volunteers to help with the fencing and to do a walk around to look for nests. We've also had a few responses from East Shore. I think it was Holly that had a connection over there. We reached out to Tim and never heard back from him. So we've had a couple of responses from them. When it comes time to figure out, because I haven't seen any geese. People have said they're here. I drove around today. I have not seen any. But they should be, I would think, soon. We will probably do a Facebook post to see how many people we can get to come down and help us look for nests. And I think that's it. I know you wanted to talk about the waiver.
I did, but I also wanted to mention one other thing. Since Holly has agreed to step into the chair position, Evelyn, from now until then, I think it would make sense if we made her a co-chair so she can work with you and kind of transition well. How do you feel about that?
Perfect.
Okay, excellent.
I wasn't sure if that was doable. She did ask.
Yes, of course it's doable.
Okay.
So Holly, I just want to tell you, because I see you on here and I could see you're muted. If you have something you would like to add or comment on at this time, being the co-chair, you can certainly you can communicate in the board meeting.
Sure. Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I decided to mute my face so you don't have to see me, but
That's okay.
I think the fence looks fabulous. I feel it's really attractive, and when we put it up, I got so excited. I'm very hopeful that this is going to make a huge difference. So even though we don't have beach rakers, at least we shouldn't have to worry about all the poop that we've had to deal with in the past. Actually, one of the questions I wanted to ask then, like timing wise, when we start taking it down come May 24th, I think is what the date was that was put in the blast. In the morning, if we don't want to take it down too early, because if people aren't on the beach, then it kind of invites the geese to come back. So we were kind of thinking like maybe 9 o'clock or so. Does that seem reasonable to you guys?
I think it's reasonable, but
I mean, if people start showing up early, we can obviously shift. It's more just trying to let them, we've had one volunteer that offered to do a fair amount on beach 1. And then like either dusk or, when the beaches tend to close down. I just don't know how much evening activity they tend to get. Yeah.
I think that you're going to, if we get a beach raker, I think that's the only thing you may contend with as far as staying a little longer. And, I mean, it's pretty much at the shoreline. So,
It's in the water. You actually want it to be in the water. And that's one of the things that we learned through Lynette is that if it's not in the water and there's a little ledge, the geese will hang out right there. So you kind of want to have it in the water so that there's no comfy place for them to hang out.
okay.
And then
Julia,
we did, sorry, just one other thought. At beach 2 where the kayak rack is, I did purposely have 2 fences meet there, so it should be easy to open. And I figure it's like whoever's going to be taking the fencing down, they would open up that gate, but it doesn't have to be all the way taken down. It could just kind of be curled back and folded back on itself. So there will be access to the water for the kayaks.
okay.
And I'm thinking maybe put a laminated sign or something, open here or access here or something.
Yeah, that would probably be helpful. Just because,
Right. Trying to avoid issues and complaints from people, I know.
Julia, did you have something?
Yes, I just wanted to say that should we be successful in getting 2 more beach breakers, they have to be done by 9. So, but if it's at the water's edge, to your point, it might not interfere with their work, but they are on the beach usually by 8 to 9 to be done by 9.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, and then as far as the waiver goes, I want to make it short and sweet. I don't have a finished document that has been being circulated that is approved by Adam. I have a partial one that he said was okay if you do this or that too, but I don't have one. And I'm not sure if everybody knows, but I did receive a certified letter from somebody who went to their attorney regarding the waiver. I want to protect the community. I want to protect us. So I want to make sure that we have Adam's approval on this waiver we're having everybody sign. Also, the waiver, the current waiver has, typos on it. And some of the typos, for instance, I mean, just some of them are basic, but there's words that are put together. It says East Haddam, Connecticut 06415. So there's some things on there that probably need to be updated, and the fact that we don't addle eggs, and it says we do. So
I've already started playing with that.
okay. So
Yeah.
what I think, Holly, since we can't find that finished document that may have been approved or not, I think if we fix the current document and I run it by Adam again, and he responds and says, yes, this is good, you're good to go, I think we're golden. But I need to have something in our legal records that says he has approved what is circulating out there.
So I forwarded you what I found.
Yes. And
That-
I have that. I had that. That's how I knew it was June 19th, because then Lynette signed it August 15th.
Yeah.
So I knew the approval had to have come somewhere between there. I just don't know where. I have nothing on that final document. So, now that it's become, a lot of people are signing. And then the second question to Adam would be, the document that is currently been signed by all these people, is that still upheld? So like I said, to protect, just out of the gate, if, we all know that dealing with the geese is a federal entity. Even if you're doing something that you're inadvertently doing, there's a $15,000 fine and 6 months in prison. If you're doing it and you're doing it, it's a $250,000 fine, and I don't know what the imprisonment is. But I don't want any of us to have to deal with that.
Well, we're not going to be out there shooting any geese.
No, not
Can I just
and not even that, but just inappropriately or inaccurately handling this. It really is. It's a sensitive kind of thing.
So I think one of the confusing parts on the waiver is addle. There are 4 ways to addle eggs. The illegal one in Connecticut is to oil them. I mean, if you want to change that to replace with porcelain eggs, which is what she does, the addling eggs is what Lynette does, putting oil on them, shaking them, or putting a pin through them.
That's right. I know.
So, I mean, if you really want to be specific, that's what she does. But at the time, that's what they chose to put in there.
Right. So I think we need to get more specific on what we are doing and what we are doing on our properties here. I don't care what she does when she leaves our property with those eggs. I don't want to know.
I don't either.
I just want to know what she's doing here. And I think that's what we need to represent.
Okay.
So and you got the certified letter too, Evelyn.
I did get one, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, just the fact that we got that and we don't have a retort to say, here's our, here's everything in place. I think it's just best just to have it.
What was their claim on it? What was their particular concern that they got their attorney involved?
They didn't want us on their property.
Right. They basically felt that the way I interpreted it was that we were suggesting that everybody had to fill it out. They had to fill it out and that we were going to go on their property, which is why I changed that email blast a little bit to say, I don't remember exactly what you guys had written, but it kind of suggested, if you haven't filled one out yet, please fill one out. And we don't want people to feel like they have to fill one out. It's a request. It's not a requirement.
Well, it is a requirement if they want us taking care of the nest and it happens to be on their property. So if it's on their property, then we wouldn't have access if they don't sign it.
Right. It's a request to enter their property should they have a nest or if they want to allow us to go on their property. It is not a requirement for them to fill out that waiver and allow us. And that's the way it kind of came across.
Okay.
So go ahead, Julia.
Well, Nancy's first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you, Nancy. Do you have?
Even though you need certain specifics, I was going to say, if we are going to use an attorney again to look at a form and get it right, then it should be general enough and specific to POLA stuff and not Nutmeg Farms. Just say contracted service provider or make it generic so that if it changes in the future, if she can't help us or there's a different agency or something like that. So, not necessarily real specific.
So
Evelyn did find a string of emails that went back and forth between Adam and Cindy. And I think buried in the very bottom of that back in 22 was, I think, the fixed one, the one that didn't have the typos. No, I found it was in there. I found it.
There. It's there, but it's not complete.
Right. It's not the form that's circulating.
It's not the form.
I agree with that. You're right. What was circulating was the one that Evelyn had found, like 2 years ago. And I don't know if it was any fault of her own. It probably was the one that she was handed or the one that she was able to discover, when you're looking for waiver. But at the bottom of that thread, and Evelyn did share that email thread with you later in the evening tonight. So it was probably, you probably haven't a chance to see it. But at the very bottom of that thread, there was a new and improved one that I finally found, and I fixed some of the wording, so I can forward that to you, Lori, and you can see what you think. And all the liability portions are pretty comparable, and both having to do with not keeping POLA responsible and not keeping Nutmeg.
Right.
Like you're agreeing to indemnify and hold harmless the property owners. The only thing that was modified in the updated one was it included the volunteers of POLA, which I guess is kind of a nice thing to add to it.
Yes.
And then I can also modify the part saying that we would replace the eggs so it doesn't panic people about the addling.
Yes.
Yeah, so I made it more of a working document, and then I did add a line too where that people could print their names so that you could actually read them, because a lot of them would just put their signatures, and Evelyn was having a hard time reading what their name was as well as their address.
Okay. And maybe to Nancy's point, I don't think we can make it so broad but maybe we call it a, assistance farm or something. I'm sure we can come up with better verbiage than that. But, we can't just generically say, and anybody else that wants to be on your property to help, right? But maybe something like that, Holly.
Well, why don't I send this to you? Because I don't want to modify it too much, because this was like, it looked like that went back and forth between Cindy and Adam, and
It was supposed to be Evelyn and Adam, because on the last part of that email, which that was the email I had, and Cindy said, Adam, work with Evelyn on this. So that's why I asked Evelyn for the email and the final document.
I wonder if Evelyn even got that one, or if she still had, because obviously
don't
she still had,
remember getting
she
it.
still had the old one. Anyway,
Well-
I will forward the one that I've played with a little bit, and you can look at it and see what you think,
All right.
if it works to your approval.
Okay, thank you, Holly. And
Yep.
just, I have Cindy's email, and I searched, and there's nothing on her email.
Yeah, it's tough though when you got these really long strings. After a while, you start glazing over and you don't think that there's anything, but it was like way at the bottom.
Yeah. Okay, well, I will look again.
Okay. But I'll send this to you, because this is basically it. And I was trying to compare the two, and there's just like subtle little modifications, but I
Right.
think it's doable. It's a slightly different layout, but you have to also decide, like what you said, can we accept the waivers that we currently already have? Or are we going to make everybody have to sign it again?
Right. And I will send them both to Adam, and I will explain to him what happened. Honestly,
Okay.
he's really, listen, I hate to say it, where Adam makes his money from us is tax collecting. He's really, really good with everything else. So I'm comfortable sending him both and just having him bless them.
Okay.
And then telling us whether the other one was still sufficient. And hopefully that'll still fly. But I just need something on record with his approval of what's been circulating. That's all.
Does it need to have his like signature or initials or anything on it, or just?
I just need an email saying, yep, that's okay.
Okay.
Julia, go ahead, honey.
Having read that waiver, I would ask that Adam review that last paragraph. As any property owner, I would never sign that waiver. Why would we, as a property owner, indemnify and hold them harmless for any damage except for structural damage? I think if that may have been a nutmeg form and a nutmeg request, but I have a real problem with that last paragraph, and I would ask Adam to seriously take a look at that.
Does anybody want me to read that last paragraph? You want to hear it, Craig? The property owner agrees to hold harmless Property Owners Association of Lake Hayward, Pula, and Nutmeg Farm LLC, the contractor, its employees, subcontractors, or invitees from any and all loss, liability, or damage incident to claims related to or arising in connection with damage to property other than real property structures, arising out of or resulting from their performance of duties under their contract or agreement with the Property Owners Association of Lake Hayward. So basically, it's saying you can do whatever you want on my property.
I think it's a bad choice for our membership. My opinion.
Yes, Evelyn, go ahead.
This was not written by Lynette, so whatever Adam wants to change, I will just have to get to her to see it. But the reason for the waiver is she works for us. Her insurance covers her and us on our property. Private homeowners' property, it does not cover. So that is the reason for the waiver.
All right, well, let's see what he has to say. Let's get his approval on something, and let's see if he, obviously, if it doesn't come out as stringent, I would imagine the other ones would still be upheld. But let's just take it from there and just make it above, completely above board. Should we be questioned again?
And just as an FYI, there really aren't any other companies that do what Nutmeg Farm does. So if you wanted to make that general, I don't know that it would apply.
Or maybe if you said Nutmeg Farms or companies of the like, I don't know.
Whatever he wants to do. I mean, he wrote this to begin with, so.
Well, I mean, I can ask him, you
Mhm.
know, if, we want to cover Lynette too, being on people's properties, but I think she kind of comes under our umbrella, of being on properties, but, because she's acting on our behalf, on Pula's behalf.
And Paula property, yes.
What,
That might be the question for him.
right. Dave, you look like you've got something you want to add. You're muted.
Probably better. I'm not sure I agree that the insurance policy covers subcontractors.
On people's properties.
That's why we ask subcontractors for their own insurance.
Right, but on our property it would, right?
She has insurance. That's what Evelyn said.
She is covered on our property. She works for us. She is covered on Paula property.
Right, but
She
when
is
she goes
not
on-
covered. I mean, even if she walked onto my property and I talk with the woman every day and something happened,
Right.
her insurance is not going to cover it.
Right, so we have to protect her under the umbrella here. Okay. All right, so I think we're kind of all in agreement.
Chris has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you got your hand raised. Go ahead, Chris.
I would agree with Julia on that last paragraph. And I think the concern of the property owners would be that if someone slips and falls, whether it's Nutmeg Farms or one of their contractors, that they're not going to be held liable. So I think that has to be clear in that last paragraph. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to get anybody to sign it. Nobody wants someone to fall on their property while they're doing work for us. And then all the next thing you know, they're getting sued by some contractor.
Right.
Thanks, over.
Well, here's the thing, Chris. A lot of people have already signed them. But I agree with both you and Julia.
Well, I'm one of those people, and I think that needs to be clear that we're not going to be sued if someone falls on our property. I don't think that was the agreement that when everybody signed those agreements. So if that's unclear, I think we need to make that clear.
Holly, are you catching all this?
Yeah, so who's talking to Adam about this? Am I or Evelyn and I, or are you?
No, we do not. Lori does.
Okay. So you'll run that by him, those last two paragraphs, because I mean, both of those definitely sound like they came from an attorney's office. That's not something that I would ever consider writing.
Right. So I guess my question to you is, do you want to try to formulate a revised one that I ask him about based on our conversation, or do you want me to just ask him these questions?
I would send it to him. He's the legalese guy.
Why don't we just have him write it?
I mean, he wrote it to begin with, expressed
I mean,
our
he's the lawyer.
concerns, and
Right.
let him do it.
Okay. All right. Is
Well,
everybody,
I'll send you the one that I found and that I've made a couple of tweaks to, and then those last two paragraphs are pretty much the same as the original one. So we're probably going to want to. It does seem like it's like you're protecting significantly Nutmeg and whoever's the volunteers that are helping, but it doesn't necessarily protect the property owner. So that makes sense.
yeah. So, so I will ask him those questions.
Okay.
And send me what you have, Holly, and then
Yep.
that'll trigger me to, reach out to him. So, so I'm glad we had this conversation. Is there anything else on geese or the geese waiver?
Lori, we have a lot in the budget for legal fees. So if he writes the whole damn thing, we got the money.
All right. Well,
You shouldn't have to write the whole thing. It may be just tweaking those last two paragraphs.
well, before you say that, Lisa, let me get to the next thing.
Thanks,
What?
Lisa.
Thank you. All right. So next, any more on geese? How's our time check, Lisa? Oh, we're doing good. Okay. All right.
Inventory.
All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is rental. I have not gone back to the rental committee with this yet. I wanted to talk to the board first. So, where that bill couched itself, in the state statutes, it did not fall in our favor. It is strictly municipalities and, towns. We have no right to regulate rentals. However, our charter does allow us to regulate business. And we, as a community, can decide what a business is. And that means if we decide that a home that is being rented out, I'm throwing arbitrary numbers out there, 4 times a year, 6 times a year, is a business, we can prohibit that. We have the right to do that. So it's a blanket statement that I wanted to pass on to all of you to consider and think about. Like I said, I have not passed this on to the rental committee. Adam said all their was it the first page? Unfortunately, a lot of the work they did with all their regulations, expecting that bill to be couched in the right place, is completely illegal as far as our charter is concerned. And really the only right we have is to regulate business. And Adam said he would help us write that up. Lisa?
I just want to say that if you're going to go down that route with business, and I'm not sure if this is financial, I'm saying, so there's people in our community that their livelihood is their business out of their home. So where do you draw the line?
Okay, so that's a good question. All right, so the answer to that, which I asked because it's their business is not from their home or their dwelling. Their business is going out to other customers. It's not their dwelling does not make their money. We have consultants that live here. We have people that work from home. We have landscape companies. They do not make business from their dwelling.
Hey, Laura, this is Dave. So I'm wondering if we define business, are we setting ourselves up for a legal challenge that would continue to be escalated and an enormous amount of legal fees related to that?
Okay, so to answer your question, Adam said that if an attorney or a judge, if we decided that a business was renting your home 6 times a year, or he used the number 4, 4 times a year, that the judge would look at it reasonably, and 4 times a year, he said, would be very reasonable. We would probably have no problem winning that case because you are making money. You know, typically some people rent 6 months. Somebody moves out, then you rent another 6 months. But if you're renting 4, 6, 8 times a year, you're making money on that house. So the objective was to have this conversation with the board, but to still pass it on to the rental committee, because ultimately it needs to go to the membership for decision. There are too many people with too many different opinions and sides, and ultimately it's going to go to a vote.
So it could result in a legal challenge, and it could result in some sort of judge handing down a decision on it, which could also be appealed.
Yes. But like I said, Adam was very comfortable that the judge would look at it reasonably and say, it's a business.
To Dave's point, we budget $4,000 a year for legal fees. If you have even 2 legal actions, you're gonna have to budget way more than $4,000 because Adam, who, yes, he says he can win it, but Adam's gonna charge us to win it.
Okay, but here's the point. It's up to the membership, not us.
I understand that, but when you're presenting it to the membership, you also have to present it in the fact that we're probably gonna have to up that part of our budget 3 or 4 more times. On the outlying chance you're gonna be challenged and you're gonna have to pay legal fees, because that kind of money you can't just pull. And then if it goes to appeal, you're still fighting.
Right. So this leaves it in the community's hands. There are a lot of people, they called for a special meeting. They came up with a means to have the whole community come together because they were up in arms about Airbnbs taking over our volunteer community. Honestly, I don't have anything in the game either way. Let the community decide. I think if we decide as a board, and I even think, so for me, I would say to the rental committee, well, maybe you come up with several different scenarios 4 times a year or 6 times, or if you own more than 4 houses that you rent out, I don't know, let them come up with the criteria to put out to the membership for a vote.
I understand that, Lori, but if you're gonna present this, I'm with Dave on this. If you're gonna present it to the committee that's handling this, and they're gonna come up with their own criteria to present to the membership, you got to roll it out to them. It's going to cost a lot of money if we get challenged, because let's face it, we have a lot of rules around here and we don't enforce them because we don't have the money to enforce them. So I'm with Dave. You have to impress upon them. You can't just willy-nilly say, this sounds good. And yep, we could win it because it's going to be legally sound. We're still going to be sued for it.
Probably,
and even
yeah.
if we win, they have to understand it's going to cost us money to enforce this no matter what, even though we're going to win it.
Go ahead, Craig.
Nancy had her hand up first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's been a while since I heard the rental committee regulations, and I know that things will be in our rules and regs when we update them. But one of the things I remember is there was no registration fee or any, like if we're going to limit it in any way, there should be some type of fee for people that are operating a business. We can't do that.
We can't operate businesses.
Okay.
We can't regulate rentals. We can regulate businesses.
So it's not like, like if somebody rents on Airbnb takes a percentage. So we can't just take 1% or so many bucks a year. Okay. All right.
Absolutely not. Nope.
Along the lines of what Dave and Lisa are talking about, we have to also take into consideration what we currently have in place. There are, that I know of, 4 or 5 that are year-round rentals. So there's 2 Airbnbs where the owners live in New York and they rent it as an Airbnb. John Allegra has a property that he rents year-round. John Allegra also has a house 2 houses that he's building right now that
year round is not renting it out 4 to 6 times a year. Year round, we're not going to regulate how people rent their homes. We're going to regulate what we determine is a business. And I'm not saying we're going to do this. I'm saying,
right, but what I'm saying is, if you're going to say 4 to 6 times a year, then what about the people who are renting 10 to 12 times a year? Is that not a bit? Like, I don't understand where the 4 to 6
and beyond. 4 is the minimum. Anything above that, you're considered a business.
Okay, so anything above that is year round. That's
no. All right. Let me be more specific, Craig. Renting to different folks 4 to 6 times a year. Each time you're renting it to different folks.
So my point is, I understand that. So my point is, we're going to have arguments by the people who want to rent it 6 times if we say 4 is the minimum, because they're going to say people here are renting it year round. So I don't understand. I think this is just going to get people who already have rentals.
No, you're confusing the two. You're confusing the two.
Okay, what about the 2 Airbnbs that already exist? We have a person who owns 2 properties that rents it out as a business. 3, okay. So, right. So now if we change the rule and say you can't rent it more than 4 times a year, now we're going to have legal action against a business that already exists. So why would we do that to ourselves instead of working with the people and who own these houses and have proper rules that are adhered to?
This is what we need to let the community decide. So when I go back to the rental committee with our discussion and I say, this is what we talked about, the challenges are, of course, could they come back and sue us? Could they come back and say, I'm taking you to court? Would the woman with the the LLC with the 3 Airbnbs? More than likely, yeah.
Most definitely.
But we had, I don't even remember how many hundreds of people were on that petition to get us to have a special meeting because they were up in arms about Airbnbs. It is not up to the board. It's the rental committee's commission now is going to be come up with different scenarios that you want the community to vote on. If the community votes down doing any of this, we've done our due diligence. We've done our due diligence.
I understand. I understand that.
And they voted down. But we have to go back to the August meeting and we have to have something for the community.
I get it.
And legally, what we have for the community is what I'm telling you now.
Okay, I get it. What I guess then just food for thought is if you catch more flies with honey. So if we work with all of the people who have rentals and we work with them, then when new people come on board, we have, bless you, new people come on board, we have a set of, oh, you're buying this house to run a business. Like, I'm just saying we have to
That is going
be careful.
That is going to be the commission of the rental company, of the rental committee to come up with different scenarios. We do nothing, but we say, hey, we want to work with you, but we can't regulate anything with them. So they would be subjected to our rules and regulations, period. Or we do this, or we do that, or we do nothing. But the community decides, and we've done our due diligence. We've answered to that special meeting that was called by the community that was up in arms about Airbnbs.
So Lisa has her hand up, but I have a couple of points after.
Oh, Sobe, I'm sorry. You know what? The thing is so small. I'm so sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I mean, it's good conversation. And I think everyone brings up a lot of good points. I think what I was going to say was 2 things. One, I think this whole issue, there's tentacles with this issue everywhere. And there's all those scenarios that we're not going to be able to think of every possible scenario. So back to Lisa Hober's, point, I think when that meeting happens, we need to be very frank and very upfront to say, listen, there are hundreds of scenarios that we could have. You mentioned one that's 4 to 6 times. What does that truly mean? If I'm renting 4 times, does that mean I'm limited to 4 weeks? Or does that mean 4 renters? And so I have a renter that's there for 2 months and then another one for another 2 months and then another one for another 2 months. So I think it's just another, what are all of the details? And this is where we're going to get hung up or slammed with all of the possible scenarios.
This is, like I said, this is where the rental committee, now that they understand their confines, this is where they come up with scenarios that get presented to the membership.
So I think our mandate to the rental committee needs to be a plan, B, how are you going to enforce that plan if it gets voted up? Because I don't know who's going to do that. And C, the presentation also needs to include the fact that there might be litigation and funding needs to be set aside for the testing of that litigation and significant funding.
Right. Agreed. Agreed, Dave. That was very concise. Thank you. But that is going to be their task now. We found out the legalities. We've discussed it. We all understand where it lies. And Lisa, I just want to be clear with you, Sobe. It's if you rent to somebody for 4 months, then you rent to somebody else for 2, and then 1, and then 1, that's 4 times a year. It doesn't matter how many, what the length of stay is. It matters how many times you rent out to people. So that was the scenario that Adam presented to me. It's Pula defining what a business is, frankly. And so yeah.
There's
So-
ramifications with that too, right? I mean, Pool decides what a business is and they're just thinking about rentals. They're not thinking about any other situation like Lisa Hober brought up and you spoke to, right? So I have a landscaping business that I do the billing out of my house, and the job itself is done on people's properties. But so, and you know, work at home too, the same thing. So I think this goes beyond, if we're going to determine as an association what it means to run a business, I think we need to do more homework.
Not what it means to run a business, what it means to define a business as far as Pool is concerned. And I went through this very articulately with Adam.
Okay.
And I used, that's what I used, a consultant, I used a landscaper, and I used a builder, because we have those. And he
Yep.
said, it is not the same entity.
Yeah, but you know, Lori, if I rented property, which I don't, but if I rented property and Pula put in regulations that said my rentals were now a business, I would immediately go to a lawyer and say, they've devaluated all of my properties and this is what they owe me now.
So, but Dave, let me ask you this. If you rented your properties, would you rent them as an Airbnb? Like every week?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't
I mean,
matter.
I bought them knowing that I could rent them. And that was part of the value of the property. And that they'll win that every time.
So I totally agree with everybody's differential comments, but I'm going to say it again.
It's not
There
our
was-
job, it's the committee's job.
Right, no,
Let the
no,
committee
I'm
do
not
the
saying.
work.
There
I'm
was a,
saying-
right.
Yeah.
These people were adamant. They wanted us to do something. We investigated. We found out the legalities. This is your option.
Till they figure out what it's going to cost them.
And you know what? We did our due diligence. Like we followed through with the special meeting. Julia, you had something to say.
Well, just to Dave's point, we keep forgetting our community was founded. It was a rental community in
Yes.
the 30s and 40s. Everyone rented their places. That's how our lake was developed. And today it's different. I mean, I didn't think they thought of it then.
Nobody rented like they are now. Nobody bought 3 houses to rent out, 20 times a year.
No, but all the cottages, they were rented. You could come down and rent for the summer. You could rent for a month. You could rent for a week. I mean, Fred Rohrbach had, and before Fred, well, it was Fred Rohrbach's real estate agency that he rented cottages. Charlene took that business on. She
Right.
rented cottages. So we forget that that's what we're in a resort community.
Right. Listen, I'm speaking from a very unbiased, really, I'm totally unbiased. I'm only presenting what I was told so that we can go back to the rental committee and say, these are your options that you can present to the community to vote on, understanding the repercussions that could follow, and the fallout. I mean,
Yeah, to come back to it though, I think they need to not only come up with a plan, but how they're going to enforce it and also make the community aware that there could be litigation related to it.
absolutely.
Jeff had a
Because I'm
question.
not standing in any parking lots or anything else to,
I'm with you. And so right away, right off the bat, when Adam, explained this to me, we went back and forth emails, but then we actually had a phone conversation because it got very, there were just too many questions, but, he again did say, if you determine that, it would be held up by a judge. However,
It
that's
would
what
be
he said,
expensive.
and it would be.
Right.
So because again, the woman that owns the 3 homes with the business, that's what she does. That's her livelihood. I totally get it. But, so I'm going to talk to John Gilmore and kind of explain. I invited him to this meeting. I really wanted him to be here to be a part of this conversation because I thought it was important that he hears all of our input. I will recommend that he listen to this, but I will call, I didn't want to call him before we all talked. So I will call him, I will talk to him, and I will explain to him where we're at and where he's at, really. And then see if he wants to dust off that rental committee before August.
So just time check, it's 8:45. We still have unfinished business and new business, but Jeff had his hand up. I don't know, Jeff, if you still want.
I just want to make a quick comment. I think we're going to come to the conclusion, as we probably had the hunch, that there's very little that we can do. We could win the battle but lose the war. We can say, just like we said, all the attorney says we'll probably win, but under what cost? And
Right.
if we're going to find a company like Airbnb who may support one of its people, okay, one of its renters, we're going to win. Okay, so the bottom line is, yeah, offer it to the community, and hopefully they don't say, yeah, let's go get them. It ain't going to happen. Okay,
And
the second thing is, last year I think we had a good year. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong. In other words, we didn't hear very many complaints with the Airbnbs last year. It was 2 years ago where we had one or two of them that were having wild parties and jumping off roofs and cars. So am I correct with that? Was last year a good year compared to the previous year?
Listen, I personally have not been affected by any of the Airbnbs personally.
Right.
So Jeff, I couldn't answer that, but
Well, I heard they sold the one that was in 2023.
how do you know?
yeah, that's a year round now. That one, I almost bought that one, but
So
that
we've
one,
eliminated that.
How do you?
Eliminated.
Well, for now, how do you know you're not going to get another one? I mean, I'm just,
Well, this
I'm
is-
just being
Lori,
devil's advocate.
and this is why.
The issue is we're going to find out very quickly that there's very little we could do.
And Jeff,
All
to
right.
your point, this is why I said we catch more flies with honey, and let's just say, look, we welcome you to our community, but this is our community, and we're not going to tolerate this crap.
And you may,
Listen, bottom line is we're passing this on to the rental committee. We're going to have them come up with a plan, and maybe they can present 2 or 3 plans, how they're going to enforce it. And certainly knowing there's litigation. This is our due diligence to the call of that special meeting.
we know all that. Well, what I'm saying,
So let's let it go, and I'll pass on to the rental committee, let them do their thing. And if the community votes to go for it, well, then the community is going to probably wind up paying for it. Whatever winds up happening, the community decides. That's how I feel. I mean, is everybody in agreement with that?
Lori, I understand what you're saying, but we as a board can dictate how the committee is going to we don't have to do this. We did it. We did some due diligence. It got shot down. All I'm saying, and I think what Jeff's saying is let them come up with whatever ideas they want and let the community vote on whatever. But if we tell the community that they could change what a business is, and then they do that, I mean, it's like we're asking for, it's like we're barking up the wrong tree, I think. And maybe this is a conversation to have with John Gilmore and the committee, and maybe I'll do that offline. But I think we're not going to solve it right now. So why don't we just move on to the next?
This isn't for us to solve.
I think,
I
Lori,
understand that, but what I'm saying is, why don't we have we don't need to keep batting it around now.
Right.
Maybe one of us needs to talk with John Gilmore.
I think
agree.
we need to give them our guidance, like
Exactly.
what the board feels, like what Jeff's saying.
Exactly.
And I agree that, here's the mandate, here's the board's thoughts, and here's what we'd like to see for a process.
Which is why I came to the board first and not to John directly. So that is the plan. That is what I will do. I will reach out to John. He is expecting my phone call, actually. I will reach out to him.
Nancy's got a question.
I just wanted to say that I think the committee, as well as the whole community, if the committee goes forward, needs to know some specifics about one lawsuit is going to cost X, minimum dollars. We
Let-
need some kind of framework so that this gung-ho committee knows,
That's for the rental committee, and that will be part of
Yeah.
the guidance that we're talking about that they will get.
And John should watch this part of this meeting
And I will recommend to him that he watches this part of the meeting.
before you have a conversation, maybe.
Well, I absolutely will recommend that. Like I said, I invited him, but he had some other board meeting or something tonight. He couldn't come. All right, so I think we've killed this one enough. So the answer is I will talk to John. I will provide him guidance. I will offer him to please watch the board meeting, and then perhaps he can come to the next board meeting and let us know what his thoughts are. Okay,
That's
all
good.
right. Moving on.
Moving on.
Unfinished business, the kiosk replacement is still on unfinished business. Dave, that was really, that was awesome. The, kiosk that you emailed that you sent, and I know Lisa looked into it too, Sobe. I think putting one on the side of the pavilion is awesome, and getting rid of that big tall thing in the middle of the, but, we got to look at the other ones. I don't go down that end too much, but,
And those kiosks are in rough shape. I mean, they don't even
they're bad. Yeah, they're bad.
look a
I
lot.
think they're all similar.
Well,
Yeah, I think the one on Little Beach, Dave, is small.
Yes, it
The one on Second Beach, I think it's the same as First, and Third Beach the same?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
so we're talking like 15, 17, 1800 bucks, somewhere around there, I think, to replace them all.
Hmm.
If I'm remembering correctly what your numbers were.
it was
Yeah,
between,
I think it might be more like $3,000, but
yeah.
I thought so the one on First Beach, if we don't get the full legs and all that and put it on the side of the pavilion, it was like 555 bucks or
Yeah.
something like that.
right.
Yeah. So, and then I don't know if we'd have to look at other places to see if maybe there's better places to put them. And maybe we don't need them all on legs or whatever, but, we can table that one again, just to, I haven't personally looked on Second or Third Beach or anything like that, but if anybody has any recommendations, and maybe we take that up, go to next fiscal's budget for that. I'm not sure what's in properties anymore. Nancy, you have something, I think.
just at Second Beach, we have the walls that house the porta potty.
Oh,
So I think that's a place we could put one, instead of having the legs.
right.
Same at Third Beach.
Shed, is that what you said, Julia?
The same at Third Beach. We have either porta potties or the shed.
Right.
Right. All right. So that would save us a lot of money, and it would be kind of protected a little bit.
Yeah, more
Also-
attractive too.
It'd clean up the beach a bit.
Yeah,
Make-
I agree. All right. So it sounds like we're all on the same page with that. And Little Beach, I know there's a tree, but I don't, is it hanging on the tree now?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It is. Okay. So that one doesn't need legs, but it's maybe it needs a little hood. All right. So I think, sounds like we're all on the same page. Is that something we want to do? Julia, are you muted? Something.
No, sorry, I was mouthing to Scott. Sorry.
I saw your lips moving. So are we all in agreement on getting the new kiosks?
Sure.
Everybody in favor of new kiosks? Okay, motion passes. Okay, next, so that'll come off the, do we want to do it this fiscal, or do we want to wait till, honestly, I don't know what's in the budget right now. We'd have to look. If we have it in the budget now, do we want to do it now?
Yes.
All right, and if not, we'll wait till July 1st. Agreed?
Agreed.
Awesome. Okay, spring packet.
Not to be nitpicky, but do you have to make an official motion? Because I don't think you did. Is that a thing according to Robert's rules? Just,
Well, I said all in favor.
I'm just saying, you didn't. I'm
Everybody
just,
said aye.
Yeah.
There was no nays. So motion, I could clearly see all of you. No nays. Motion passed. Do you have any discussion?
no, I was just asking, like,
Well, there was two
I don't
parts
care.
to
I
it.
was just asking if you wanted to be official. That's all.
Listen, don't prolong this meeting.
Carry on, Lori. Carry on.
Thank
You're
you.
the president.
All right, spring, I'm trying to make it a little more expedient, okay? I didn't have to say the nays or instead abstentions and, okay. People can watch this now. All right, so spring packet, I will tell you, I need Second Beach, Third Beach reps to do their, spring packet. I need, what else? I have a lot.
Walkway.
Oh, Quartz, Chris, that's you. I need walkway, yep. I just got properties, webmaster. Do you want to write something up, Craig? Do you want me to have Mel write something up? Do you want to do it together? Yeah,
I mean, yeah. Sure. I can write. I can write. I mean, whatever. I could write it.
I mean, you could just write, we're in the
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
Yeah,
Process.
you know
Yeah, I
what's-
got you.
Okay,
Up and coming. I'll try to get it to you. I'll try to get it to you in the next day or two.
thank you. And then budget, I got to get a hold of Tish. Nominating, Gail's working on hers. Rental, we're going to wait on that one. And then the only thing I have left, unless anybody else has anything on the spring packet. Okay, the only thing I have left is the next meeting is scheduled for Monday, April 21st. It is Easter Monday. I don't know what that means to anybody.
It's a thing.
It is, well, it's Easter, it's the day after Easter Sunday. So I
Okay.
didn't know if everybody wanted to move it to April, the following Monday, or leave it on the 21st. I'm good either way, but I just wanted to offer that.
Is that something we can do? I thought it had to be.
No, we can change the date. I mean, we have enough time to do that and update it.
So April 28th instead?
If everybody's fine with April 21st, I'm fine with it, but I'm just offering it.
I say keep it the 21st.
Everybody's good with that?
Yes.
You can bring your bunny ears? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Anything else? Any other unfinished business? Motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, third,
In favor? Any discussion?
I thought we were gonna do new business, more new business.
Oh, that was the spring packet. I already did it. I already did it.
A good meeting.
See everybody. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
bye.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Stop the recording.
Oh, yeah,
Lauren.
stop the recording.
Okay, hold on. I gotta get rid of the
Good
people.
night.
Night.
Right.
Good night. Oh, hold on, I gotta get in there. Manage recording. It went away because I had all the people there. Okay.